Hello everyone, and from Europe, where we're currently docked in Porto, Portugal, welcome to Sailing with Sof, a podcast where I, Sofia, or Sof, take you along my adventures as a college student living and studying on a ship for about 4 months while my shipmates and I traverse through the ocean and travel to multiple countries across 3 continents. For a quick overview, I'm on the spring 2024 voyage from January to April of a study abroad program called Semester at Sea, and our port of embarkation was in Bangkok, Thailand. Since then, we've been to Malaysia, India, Kenya, Mozambique, South Africa, Ghana, Morocco, and now here we are in Portugal. We have just over a week remaining on the voyage, and this is our last destination where we disembark the ship and then embark again for the very last time as we sail to our real final destination in Bremerhaven, Germany, which is where we'll disembark the MV World Odyssey ship for good. So, very sad emotions, but mixed emotions here. As for this episode, I'll be doing a little update on the voyage, sharing just a few of my observations of Portugal, and I'll be telling you how I spent my birthday on the ship, which I'm so excited to share, and I'm very fortunate and thankful I was able to celebrate my birthday on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Are you kidding me? By the way, my 21st birthday, which, is a big number in the US, but again, can't emphasize it enough. So glad I had my birthday, not only during Semester at Sea experience, but on a sea day, aka meaning I'm able to celebrate in the ocean, the blue, beautiful ocean, with no land in sight, while en route to our next port destination. It was probably one of my top moments on Semester at Sea, honestly, but you'll hear why. So I'll talk about my birthday festivities shortly, but I wanted to touch on the remainder of the voyage and what lies ahead. First, again, it's very sad that it's all ending so soon, because literally in 8 days we'll be off the ship and in Germany. This experience has been crazy, and I have loved it so much. I'll forever be thankful that I was somehow able to do it during my college years. And not to mention come across so many people on the ship, but even more so people I was able to meet in port, like locals, drivers, business owners, young kids, college kids, people I've been able to pass where, although we don't even speak the same language, we might hold different beliefs, we can still smile and receive genuineness and a bright smile back. And this always makes you feel good because you realize that deep down we're all the same. That felt a little deep, but hopefully you can take something away from that. When I go back home to the US, I definitely would like to do some reflection episodes, so don't think that this podcast is over just yet. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to get a few people on, but it's really crunch time now, so our schedules are jam-packed. It may be a little difficult, so I apologize for that. Anyways, though, as for our voyage, just so you know, we had a large chunk of our time spent in the African continent. Amazing. Sadly, though, as you've heard, we said goodbye to Africa after sailing away from Morocco. And here we are in Europe. This is my first time in Europe, by the way. First impressions, it's definitely different from the African countries I've been to on this trip, in my opinion. But also keep in mind, I've only been here for like 3 days. Money-wise, it is just ridiculously expensive. I think even worse than the US. And I'm pretty sure the euro right now is more powerful than the dollar bill because the exchange rates are not the best. But I've had to pay like at least 15 euros for just a 30-minute Uber ride, which is crazy because then I have to take the Uber back, and I've done this a few times. So back to this life again, similar to the US. Can't say I'm ecstatic about it, but it's certainly a much different vibe than I've seen in the past 2-ish months or so. Also, if I'm being honest, it feels pretty darn bougie here, which I would not consider myself a bougie person at all. But it could just be the area I've been going to or where we're located. But some people seem quite proper and dressed kind of fancy. It's quite hilarious. I feel like I'm in a movie, sort of. And I feel like there's some flaunting that goes on, but it could also just be the tourists that I've been seeing. If there happens to be a fellow European or Portugal person watching this, sorry, I apologize. That would just be funny anyways. Oh my gosh, another observation is that I have never seen people be so affectionate in person. I don't know if I think it's just a European thing, not just a Portugal thing. PDA, public display of affection, maybe it's just me, but I keep hearing the smacking sounds, aka people's lips touching, and I am not a fan. I've had 2 big realizations about this. One, the first time was my first day. I was working in a cafe, dessert place, like doing some computer work, and an older couple, a man and a woman, probably about 65 years old or so. They sat down and immediately they were so touchy-feely. I could not believe my eyes. Oh my goodness. I had my laptop out and I was facing their direction because they were sitting in a table directly across from me. Of course, I did not want to stare, but I took a peek and saw that they had their hands on each other's thighs and were making out too much. And you can hear the sound. I was like, oh my goodness, people. Don't you? It's probably just me, but that's not something I would ever do. I thought it couldn't get any worse until the next day. I'm again doing some work, but I'm at a different place, an acai bowl shop. Delicious, by the way. And then a couple is in the corner producing the most movie sounds of making out I've ever heard. They just kept going and going and going. And I mean, come on, they must have known I was right there. I was literally the only person there, which makes it even more awkward too, because yeah, I was the only person in sight. I was trying to do some work, write something, and truthfully, I just could not focus because of all the noise. So I left shortly after that. Anyways, aside from all of that, I hope I'm not coming across as being negative here, but I just think it's kind of funny. But I've had some very, very nice encounters with some of my Portugal peers. I've been getting around mainly by Uber. My first driver, Uber driver David, was very nice, and he gave me recommendations for what to do in Portugal. So the other day, I was in a food place to try a delicious Portuguese treat called Francesquina or something like that. Don't mind the pronunciation. And this was per recommendation request of Uber driver David, who again was very nice and told me a bit more about Portugal. So that was very helpful. And by the way, this was the place where I saw that older couple, very touchy-feely and showing a lot of PDA. 99% of my Uber drivers have been fantastic. There was one Uber driver who accidentally plugged in the wrong location of where to drop me off. It was by the ship, and she didn't speak much English. And I know she wanted extra money, but I was not trying to pay like an extra $20. So she was a little frustrated. And listen, it was only like an extra 5-minute drive. I'm sorry, but if I saw a kid, a young kid who accidentally plugged in the wrong address and it's only extra plus 5 minutes, I'm not going to get a little angry. So I could tell she was a little frustrated, but luckily, I used the naiveness to my advantage because I'm not trying to pay an extra $20, as I said. So that was really my only, quote, bad encounter. There was, one of my other Uber drivers, it was an older lady. We were speaking to each other even though she knew very little English, and she was talking Portuguese. And I don't know much Portuguese. I know a little bit of Spanish. They're a little similar. So I was trying to communicate that way. And then she got out her Google Translate, so we were talking that way, and then I was learning more about her family, her kids. It was all very interesting and super cool that we can do that with Uber drivers, even if we might not speak the same language. Also, something I've noticed across all the countries I've been to is that maybe compared to the US, people are more likely to be more talkative in these other countries, but that could just be my experience. Or maybe I'm just not making the effort in the US Uber drivers. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know if I can say that because I don't even take Ubers that often in the US. But just in my short experience, I would say that. Anyways, enough with Europe for now. I think it's time to talk about how I celebrated my 21st birthday on the ship. And let me tell you, this will forever be a memorable experience for me, given the fact that I celebrated on a ship in the ocean. And it was my 21st, so that's always something big for us US people. So first, the night before, there's actually a crew talent show, and that was so much fun to watch. Everyone is outside the Union. That's where the stage is. That's where everyone on the voyage can gather as a group. So once they open the doors, people are literally like running, fast walking to find the best seat. So luckily I was able to get a great seat and then watch the crew talent show, which I didn't even realize. It was like 2.5 hours, I think. But oh my goodness, we need like encore part 2. I think that's what that means. It's really funny because you only know the crew in their uniform, and then once you see them on stage, either singing, dancing, etc., it's super fun to watch, and you're literally enamored by everything because you're like, oh my God, I didn't know he got moves. I didn't know she could sing like that. Things like that. So if you ever do semester at sea, crew talent show, oh my goodness, people are so talented here. You have no idea. There was even a silent auction, they called it, and some crew members painted paintings. It could be of the ship, something related to our voyage. And let me tell you, those prices go high, like over $500, I think, for some of them. And just some of the paintings are just incredible. If you ever meet Perry from Lido, his paintings were awesome. That's the one that comes to my head right now, but I'm sure there are many others as well. So after the crew talent show, that finished at least past 10:30. It was kind of late. Then after that, I admired the night sky a little, looking at the stars, the moon, the darkness, hearing the waves of the ocean, just trying to soak everything in, and then thinking, oh my God, this is the last time I'm 20. Wow. And then I went back to my room after that, and my roommate was there, or she came in a little later, and I could tell she was acting a little strange. There was one point where I heard a knock on the door, then Like, I almost go to it and I look through the peephole and I see the door is covered in pink or something. I don't even remember. But my roommate, I could tell, like, she was acting a little weird because she pretty much was kind of protecting the doors, like, oh, no, I don't know what that is. Maybe the noise is from the neighbor next door or something. I'm like, oh, yeah. But anyways, the point is, the next day, when I woke up on my birthday and I opened my door, my friends decorated the whole door, which was super nice. I low-key had the feeling that they were doing it like the night of, which is funny because my roommate, I didn't want to tell her that I knew, so I just pretended that I believed what she was saying. That was a fun surprise to wake up to, because it's kind of like in high school, middle school, when you had your locker, people would decorate it. So it reminded me of that. But that was a great surprise. So then morning of my birthday, my roommate and I, we woke up at around 6:30 a.m. and we got breakfast together and enjoyed the most beautiful sunrise. When I tell you, I think God was definitely on my side on my birthday, because just the views from the sea were incredible. Sunrise, sunset, amazing. Oh my goodness. So very thankful for that. I'm going to miss the sunrises with the clear sky. It's just so beautiful. So once I finished breakfast up at Lido, of course, which is when you eat outside, because that's the best spot, you cannot persuade me otherwise. This day, there was actually a huge assignment due for our lecture class that everyone takes called Global Studies. I was almost halfway done with it, but I totally knocked it out right after that breakfast, a big chunk of it, and just somehow, like, my mind was just free-flowing. I was typing effortlessly. Something was going on this day because, I don't know, this was just a great birthday. Everything was going right for me. So after that, I took a shower in my room, I remember, and I listened to some birthday song. It's like, it's my birthday. I can't remember, but it's a nice, like, upbeat song, and I figured I'd play it. Then I went to lunch in Berlin, which is the indoor dining hall, which has nice window views because you're closer up to the ocean because it's on a lower level floor. So I went there for lunch, and then the rest of the day I continued to work until celebration time for dinner. And I was so excited because my parents ordered me a cake. And if you've ever heard anything about Semester at Sea cakes, they're pretty darn good in my opinion, especially if you get chocolate or if you get chocolate and vanilla. Just so good. Ice cream cakes, by the way. I have class late block, 5:10 to 6:30. I got out of class a little early, so I was able to order or get my cake right away. And then, of course, I had to wait for it to melt, waited for some friends to come, and then it was time to divulge into the cake after I had dinner, of course. And believe it or not, they actually spelled my name wrong on the cake. I know. And I really wish it said 21, but come on, Dad, why did you not put freaking 21, bro? That's okay. But it said happy birthday, Sofia, with a PH. That happens all the time. So I'll give some leeway. It's okay. Let me tell you though, this is a freaking huge cake. I left some leftovers for the crew because I know they eat it after. So they say. But I'm super glad I was able to enjoy that one night. And then after cake celebrating, I really wanted to go to one of my professor's talks. I really wish I could have, but I was like, that or see sunset. And the sunset looked like it was going to be a nice one. And I decided to opt for the sunset, because then I could enjoy lavishly eating my cake. I didn't have to rush. So that is what I did. Then some friends and I, we went all the way to the top of the deck to admire the beautiful, beautiful sunset. Let me tell you, it's definitely one of the top sunsets I've ever seen on Semester at Sea. And it was on my birthday, so that is so crazy. Just the colors of the sky, the oranges, the yellows, the pinks, the corals, just so beautiful. So once everyone left, I was just admiring the sunset literally until the sky was almost pitch black. And keep in mind, it's actually getting a little colder now, so it was quite windy. I was probably outside for at least 40 minutes admiring the sunset. By the time I was walking in, and during the time I was watching, my fingers were getting a little numb. I just could not help but stay there because it's just breathtaking when you just look at the sky change from with the sun out to slowly going down to stars coming out slowly over the sky. It's just really stunning. And seeing the water change color because of the sky, it's just beautiful. So that was a little snippet of my actual birthday. There's still some festivities the day after because it actually worked out perfectly for me because we had a study day, which means no class at all. So the day after my birthday, I was able to do pretty much whatever I wanted, I suppose. So I was able to stay up the night before a little too. Now, what did I do on this study day? Did I study? Well, you may know the answer to that. I don't to be honest, I don't think I had much work to do. Anyways, the big event for this day was a fancy dinner, which is when you pay, I had an episode about this with one of my friends, but it's when you dress up fancy and pay like $40 for like a 5 entree meal. Definitely something you have to do at least once on Semester at Sea, so we decided to do that. There was actually another girl who had a similar birthday timing as mine, so we kind of combined tables, even though the table setting was a little weird. But fancy dinner was a ton of fun, eating great food, hanging out with great company, even dressing up, taking some pictures. I'm not really a picture person, but it's always fun to do that once in a while, I suppose. Oh my gosh, this day, by the way, it was actually a super rocky day on the ship. Personally, if you've listened to some of my episodes, you know that I love the rocking, but it came to a point where the pool up on the top deck, the water was flooding onto the floor. Yeah, I'm watching a video on my phone right now trying to describe it. But you can see they had to drain out the pool a little, and then the waves, because it's so rocky, the water in the pool is just plopping up outside the pool and getting the floor surrounding area wet. Yeah, that was crazy. Oh my goodness. So if you couldn't tell, things worked out for me on my birthday because, I think I'm pretty easy to please, simple. Like, even if I have a nice sunset, sunrise, I'm all set. I'll be happy. So very, very happy I was able to celebrate on the ship. Oh my goodness. All right, so that was the gist of my birthday celebration. Nothing extremely fancy, I have to say, but just great company, beautiful nature, and just overall gratitude for everything. That's what can make your birthday. Now, as for the gratitude section of this podcast, where I say 3 things I'm grateful for in case you forget, because we're Voyage 133, so sticking with the 3s. First thing I'm grateful for is specifically on my birthday, just all the beautiful nature in my surroundings. If you can get that from this whole episode, the sunrise, the sunset, the night sky, which, I forgot to mention, the day after my birthday I also admired the night sky, because how could you not? It's just so stunning, and it's very calming, relieving, therapeutic, just listening to the sound of the waves, looking up and noticing a few stars, perhaps the moon as well. So that's my number 1. Second one, very grateful for my friends. They just made my birthday even more awesome. So thank you. And number 3, I want to give a gratitude to the dining hall staff, especially the people who make the cake. Oof, delicious. Everything that goes into that, making a celebration even better with a cake. So thank you. And third thing I want to say, I'm grateful for my cake. I know a little, not probably the best gratitude thing, but hey, I will always live for ice cream cake. So very grateful for the dining hall crew, whoever makes the freaking cake, because it is so good. All right, so those are my 3 gratitudes. What are yours? Hopefully you can ponder on that. But hopefully you can keep sailing with me just for this week or so. It's really coming to a close, but hopefully you've enjoyed. And I'll definitely be sure to do some reflection episodes because I want to tell you more about Semester at Sea, and once I plan out those episodes, I will be sure to film them. Until next time, sincerely, Sof.